high there, I put the stop just above that high because that's where it turned round before. And just in case it's shot up there, it might well bounce off there and come back down again. That's why I did it. Does that make sense? You don't have to do that, but you certainly need it at the end of the shadow. Yes? If you can afford the extra few, depending on what the range is on the day. This is only 54 pips on the average true range of a day. That one, if we'd placed the trade there, would have been 111. That is not a particularly big stop, is it? A 10p, you're only talking about a pound. No, 10 quid. If you're talking about a pound a pip, you're talking about 110 pounds. If you're talking about 50 pence a pip, you're talking about 50 quid. And it made 74, or 98, or 161, or 258, or 301.
Except the trade that you went into, and if you took it off after 24 hours...
Yeah, it would have took off there. That's right.
No, the previous one.
No. The reason for that, you haven't let me explain yet, Jen. The reason for that is a Sunday candle. That little one there. And in the book here, it tells you not to take trades on a Friday night. However, if on Monday morning, now there's a Sunday candle on this particular GKFX spread betting platform because they open at 10 p.m. on Sunday night. So there's an hour of trading before Monday's candle starts. Right? So that's why you get this little candle here. In the manual, it tells you to ignore Sunday candles unless they are significant. And what I mean by significant is if that had closed above the DMAs, I wouldn't have touched it with a barge pole. But because it was very, very small and it started to come down virtually straight away anyway. Now, you see this here, this line, that's where the trade was taken because on this one I used an order to open. I didn't take it because it was Friday night. I didn't take it on Sunday night. I waited till Monday morning to see where the price action was. Because it could have gone straight back up, couldn't it? If you're new to bedtime trader, you trade this Monday to Thursday. Friday nights are subject to potential Sunday candles, potential gap ups and gap downs on the open, which you've undoubtedly seen, where the market lurches over the weekend. Whereas on the evening, like for instance on a Monday evening, if that had been Monday evening, first you wouldn't get that little candle, and the open would be straight after the close of the previous day, not 24 hours later, like it is over the weekend. And things happen over the weekend in trading circles. They all tell you it doesn't, but it does. Because you've seen gap ups and gap downs, have you, on the open? Yeah. So you know things are happening. Yeah. And sometimes you've been caught out by it, haven't you? Oh, yes. And it's generally to their advantage, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Mm. So, don't do Friday night candles. You do not trade them Friday night. So when that gravestone doji appeared Friday night and the market closed, you couldn't do anything anyway because you can't get in a trade over the weekend. They won't let you. So you'd have to wait till Sunday night, wouldn't you? When the market's open at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. I don't like doing things like that because Sunday night, Janet's got other things in mind for me. No, not that sort of thing. However, there are things that I like to do on Sunday night, not look at the markets. I do look at the markets if I'm sat around doing nothing, obviously. However, by Monday morning, it was down here. Now, it could have been down here, and that would have been lost, wouldn't it? But that's beside the point. Monday morning, it was there. I thought, on the basis of that, that was a good trade to take, so I took it on Monday morning. Does that explain the weekend situation? This is from Monday night till Thursday night. 107 pairings each night. So cancel all your plans to go out. Some of the emails we've had you would never believe. But I go to bed at 10 o'clock. Well, stay up a bit later. Oh no, I can't do that. I said, well, no. This is obviously not for you. Find another methodology. Ignore the fact that we made 4,000 pips. Oh, no, shouldn't tell you that. Right, so can you see that was a good trade, yes? Right. And that one qualified. This one was on the CHF CAD on the 29th of June. This was on the Euro CAD on the 29th of June. So you don't just get one out of the 107. Sometimes you get quite a few. If you are new to trading and you're new to this, if you get more than a dozen, I would just turn the computer off and go and do something else, because it's too many, and if there are too many, sometimes it can be suspect, and it does say that in the manuals, right? However, if there are 10, maybe up to 10, but you don't want to take 10, obviously, then just pick the best ones. And the best ones are where there is resistance against where the market ought to go. You follow? There's resistance there, isn't there? Because it closed below, again, the DMAs. Again, the stop loss would have been above that one. You could put it there, but I put it above there. And again, that one. Now, that one we risked on the Euro Canadian dollar, 107 pips was the stop loss, and that was 85. That one had barely moved the next morning. So that one, I can't actually remember where I took that one anyway. They're all in the results we'll give you anyway. Okay? Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why you couldn't put two trades on, one for 24 hours and one for a longer one?
No reason at all, providing you know what you're doing.
Oh, from the charts it looks as though...
Alternate. Can I give you an alternate in a moment?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Okay. This one here, down move, stopped short of the support on the DMAs. Sorry, closed short of the DMAs, but went all the way down here, tested these lows, came very close to testing these lows, went all the way back up again. So the bears have pushed it all the way down, continued to push it all the way down there, long shadow, pushing it back above the DMAs. So the next day, take a trade upwards. Now then, your question, or can you do put two trades? Yes, you can put two trades on, yeah, and you can have one, which we haven't covered yet, but you can have one with a limit order, which actually takes you off at a limit, or you could take it off the next night for yourself, and you can have the next one going beyond that point. However, if you've got a situation like this, where you've got a very long dragonfly doji, which followed a down move, so it all qualified, etc., and the close was at the top, wasn't it? Yep, because it's a red one. Okay, so you could enter there at 2300 hours and put a trade on, and the next day we got a very nice long green candle going up here, and we could have taken that off for a gain of 40 pips. Goes the CAD. This is the CAD DKK, which is the Dutch kroner. If you put your thing in on the bottom there, it'll tell you what the Danish kroner, tell you what the pairings are. One of the more obscure ones, obviously. Right. So that one from there to there has given you 40 pips plus. Yeah? So you can take it off, put your 40 pips in, and forget about it. However, you might be happy with 25. You might be happy with 25. I've made 25, I'm quite happy with that. So if you put your stop loss there, you could let it run for the next 24 hours, couldn't you? Providing you don't beat yourself up if it comes back down and takes you out. And instead of going from 40, you've only got 25, and you spend the day crying. You don't want to be doing that, do you? No? So can you see, if you move your stop loss to there, now one of the reasons why on this particular one I would have moved the stop loss to there or considered it is because there is no upper shadow to this particular candle, or very, very small, isn't it? There is a slight pip. That means the bulls were in control right up to the close. Had it have gone up there and then closed there, I would have taken the 40 pips and run. Because the bears have pushed it back down there, haven't they? Risky. But because this had no real shadow at the top at all, the bears are virtually in control right up until the close. So I would have said the 25 is worth locking in, 25 pips is worth locking in. That's in the bank. I'm risking 15 pips on the basis that this tomorrow will carry on up. Had you have done that with this one on a daily basis, locking in the profit, can you see how much you would have made from that one Dragonfly Doji?
Well, in effect then, aren't you moving across to method 1?
Yes, but you're not allowed to mention that, John.
Sorry.
2,861 pips you could have made up to the top. But you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay? So these things work. Not all the time, not every time, but in most cases they work.
You did say bears in control, not bulls.
I'm sorry?
You did mention bears in control, not bulls.
The bulls were 4 feet upwards.
Oh, did we? Yeah. Well, you know what I meant, don't you?
We did.
I did actually mean the bulls are in control and continuing in control. Right. Here we have 2 Dragonfly Dojis off support at the DMAs. Yes? You're going to get a weekly report from me on this methodology, which comes on the weekend, or sometimes Monday morning, depending on what's going on. And it will tell you all the trades that we took the previous week. Yeah? It'll tell you where we got in, why we exited, why we did, or when we did, what was the justification for taking it, and that there, 2 Dragonfly or a Dragonfly off support of the DMA would be the qualifying commentary on either of those 2. Can you see that? That's what I would have said. It is a DMA, it is a Dragonfly Doji off support because it's gone down and tested the support, gone all the way back up again. Sometimes they bounce off exactly. That one's come closer to the 23, hasn't it, than the 13. But if they bounce off DMAs like that and they are above, and that's the way we want it to go, then I would suggest that that is a good trade. Now, I have to say, neither of these qualified in the BTT signal because they weren't exactly to the parameters that I've given you. They have become what is known as near Dragonfly Dojis or Gravestone Dojis. And I sometimes take near ones because they're near. And some guy sent me an email last week and said, well, what do you mean by near? How big's near and how close has it got to be? He said, can't you be more specific? So I sent him an email back and said, well, not really, because near is near. If it was more specific, then it would be in the parameters and it would be an ordinary Dragonfly Doji and Gravestone Doji, which he didn't quite understand. So can you understand that that there is a near one as far as I'm concerned, and that is one that I would take myself. But if you want to just do purely the ones that the signal identifies, then you can do that. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there are more like this than what you will find in the signal, obviously, because there are more near ones. But near ones need to be near, not miles away. Yeah. In other words, if the open and close here, if for argument's sake this is 100 pips and the open and close on that one there is 27 pips away from the top instead of 25, that to me is near. If it was 35, that is not near. Does that make sense? To me, it seems very logical. And I do want you to look at these and look as though they are visually good Dragonflies or Gravestone Dojis. I think you can tell when they're not. when the body is somewhere down here, and people say, well, why didn't I take that one? I say, because it's not near. Well, how big's near? I'm like, The problem is with a software package, it has to be fairly precise. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yeah. So we've had to put parameters in, and those parameters are very exacting, and they will work, and they will show up the dojis for you. All right. But don't expect to get all of them. But you can just, do those if you want. However, I like to do them all. Because every now and again you'll get one like this. Dragonfly Doji off support, bounced off the 23 DMA. Now this one was difficult to qualify with the old signal because I changed the parameters slightly. The parameters were from the close or the open of the previous, so in a red candle it would be from the open down to the open of the Dragonfly Doji. That would be the down move. And as you can see, that down move wasn't very great, was it? However, it did go up to there. So as far as I'm concerned, I changed it. If it doesn't fit, move the rules, move the goalpost. Right? And that one went from there, then down to there, and it did qualify when I did that. I said, oh, right, fine. It's bounced, had it not bounced off the 23 DMA, and had it not have been such a long Dragonfly Doji with such a long lower shadow, I might not have taken it. But I decided to take that one, and I'm rather glad I did. Because it went all the way up there, and because, there is a shadow at the top of that one, fair enough, but in terms of the length of that shadow compared with the whole length of that doji, it wasn't particularly long. So, if you have one, although it's got a upper shadow, but this is still quite long, and this is down to you. If you are happy with saying, I will accept the fact that I have got halfway up there is 354 pips. Now, if you're happy with 354 pips and you'd like to move your stop loss there, then the next day, by the end of the day, you'd have got 518, but by the following night, you'd have got 894. That one was, I actually came off there, I have to say, in my particular trade, because that one started to get very risky because there was a very long shadow there. But at that point there, we had made 518 pips. Supposing you'd been happy with 400, but you won't be because greed will take over and you'll want the 518. I know because I took it off. Oh dear. Janet beat me up for the next 2 days because it went up to 2,500 pips. That's life. All right? But, not mentioning what Jan said earlier, but it would have qualified anyway, wouldn't it? These might look like the two gravestone dojis that we picked before. Sorry, Dragonfly dojis, but they're not. They're on a different pairing and look almost identical to the two that we had before. On the same days, bouncing off the DMAs and giving 229 pips that following day and 409 that day. You're either stunned with silence or stunned with the fact that I don't think this can work. Oh, it does.
I'm stunned with the fact I've missed them all.
Where were you Friday night, Jan?
I'm usually looking at my computer at 10:30 to 11.
Did you not see this one on Friday night? And this was on the pound Japanese yen. Now, it didn't qualify. If you'd have had the signal on, that did not qualify because can you see the body's too big?
That's why I wouldn't have gone for it.
Of course. I like your style. However, because it's got a large body, which it had, a lot of people, and it certainly didn't qualify, actually, that coming out further, isn't it? Yeah? But that was the open, and that was the close, right? So that was red. And it followed an up move, yeah? So assuming that that qualified, which it did because it's a nice long green candle, that one, it went all the way up there. So from here to there, it qualified in terms of the move upwards, yeah? In fact, there's two or three couple of green candles before that one, aren't there? So it well qualified for the up move. The only question was this body was too big because it exceeded the open and close were not in the bottom 25%. That was something like 33%, I think, rather than 25%. So therefore, the signal didn't throw it up, and it could have thrown you out because of it. Yeah. However, looking at it, as we do carefully, because we're true technical analysts, the high was almost at the close of both of these. And they came down a long way after that, all the way down. So it'd been up there and tested it again, failed to get above, and had come all the way back down. The one reason that I would take that is because that is red. If it'd been green, I wouldn't have taken it, because green suggests it might go that way. But red is suggesting that in fact it might go that way, because the close is in the bottom 25%. But that isn't in the methodology. So that is down to your interpretation. So I can understand you're not taking it, because I could have said to you when you sent me your email, why did it the following day go all the way up there? I could have said, well, I didn't qualify, did it? Easy get out. But having said that, that is one I did take, and I did take it because it bounced off there. That was a nice trade, wasn't it? And that was Monday of this week. And that
Friday night trade though, wasn't it?
Monday morning. You see the line? Sorry, I'm taking it from the wrong place. You see the red line there? I didn't take it on the Friday night. I took it on the Monday morning. And we got 121 pips. That there is an order to open. In fact, it wasn't an order to open, because I took it on Monday morning. It was down to here and looked as though it was going to carry on down, so I took it. Because it was going the right way. It had already gone up and come back down, and it was going the way that the Gravestone Doji suggested it was going to go. I don't think that was a bad risk, do you? I didn't know it was going to drop that far in the day, because that was one of the biggest drops in quite a long time on the Japanese yen against the pound. All right? That was Monday morning. This one's going back a little bit. It's only a couple of weeks, I think. No, September. See that one there? Nice big Gravestone Doji. Funnily enough, another Friday night. But again, taken on Monday morning, 84 pips. It was just below here on the Monday morning. There's been quite a few of Friday night for some reason in the last few weeks. I don't know why. Probably because it hasn't gone anywhere during the week. Oh God, it's another Friday night. No, it's not. No. It's not Friday night. This is Thursday night. That is the doji that we're talking about there. That one there. It's a dragonfly doji. It's got a bigger body than it should have, but it's bounced off this 200. And the last time it got there, it bounced all the way back up again. So there was a possibility it was going to bounce down again. Now, when you get ones which are not straightforward and not identified by the signal, which this one wasn't, and the reason for that is because it's got too big a body, and that is red. Ordinarily, and these are red, and ordinarily you wouldn't take that one, but this one bounced off the 200. I came very, very close to this 200. Yeah, in actual fact, that was higher. It's been pulled down because of these three red candles, but that was in fact higher. But that's the 200. And the last time it went off the 200, it bounced yonky doodles in the sky. Now, ordinarily, you would look at that at 11 o'clock and it closes there. Yeah? And you would place your trade there in the hope that it's going to go that way. Yes? If it's got a bigger body than you would like, and I think this one, well, I'm looking at my screen at the moment, it doesn't look anything like that. That has stretched because it's on this thingy, what's it? I'll just tell you what it doesn't look anywhere near, the body doesn't look anywhere near that big. The overall size is 300. So that should be 75. The body should be in the top 75. And it's actually in the top.
76.
Sorry?
I think you said 76.
76, yeah. So it's not that far out. No. and the fact that it had bounced off the 200, I thought it was worth a consideration. However, not at that price, because that there is assuming it's going to go that way, but you're not sure. If you put an order to open there and an order to open going that way, if this then goes that way, it picks up the order and takes you in. Yeah? And that's what I did. Now then, that was Thursday night. We're now into Friday. Fridays, and particularly Friday is the last day of the month, are susceptible to reversals in the afternoon, as we know. Yeah, and if we're in trades, we should look on as earlier on a Friday if we can, because the wine bar syndrome comes out and wafts down the Thames, and about 3-4 o'clock everybody's off down the wine bar, and trading takes a second, with the week's finished. And you will see, you can see that on a Friday afternoon, all of these sort of things start to reverse, and you get probably some late fundamentals out of it.